Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Nurture and Support. I am Mel at Karmic9.
And hi everybody, this is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter. And we're back to... Go ahead, Mel.
Okay. We're back for another episode of Westworld, talking of Season 2. This is going to be about Episode 2, titled Reunion.
Yes, Westworld, the one bright light in a bleak existence for, I think, from both Mel and I right now, so it's nice.
Yes, and for such a bleak show, it's really sad that it gives us hope or something. I don't know what it gives us, but a distraction from the general hellscape.
Yep.
Of at least my world. Glad I'm not alone.
You are not.
Okay. So, do you want to start us off, or
yeah,
I can. Opening comments?
So only second episode for this season, but already starting to pick up steam. I started to develop a point of view on a character that I didn't expect to start to develop. We'll talk about that kind of as the show goes on. But first season, you had these multiple time loops going on, or time shifts going on, and so it took a while to basically piece it all together. Now we know that's the deal. So when they start throwing them at us, we can kind of gauge it pretty quick and kind of figure out, is that Arnold or Bernard, and some of that type of thing. So it makes it a little slightly easier to navigate the show, but still a lot of good complexity and interesting angles coming up. So I enjoyed episode 2. How about you?
I did, yeah. And speaking of, knowing about the time shifts, I find myself always constantly trying to gauge what time frame every scene they show us is in. And every time I watch an episode, I alter my timeline just a little bit. So it's very interesting. Such a smart show.
Yeah. And I think they're starting to mess with us now to kind of say, yeah, we're gonna start to lay some track that you think it's original Westworld, and then all of a sudden you find out it's current, and you can always kind of use the Man in Black barometer. It's kind of okay. Depending which actors on the screen, you at least have a ballpark idea.
Yes. Yeah. Funny how they do that to us, and I totally expect that they're going to turn this season around on me, at least me, at some point, because, it's not hard to fool me sometimes, and I'm fairly certain they're going to fool me, but episode 2 was full of a whole lot of stuff I think is important to know for this season. Since we're doing this kind of after later episodes have already aired, I have to say this isn't my favorite episode of the season so far. However, I think there was a lot of good information in this episode that we will need to know going through the season. A lot of tidbits thrown out here.
Yeah, this did appear to be, its job was to provide, I think, some superstructure and support for some of the awesomeness that happens in episodes 3 and 4.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I have to, it wasn't my favorite episode because there wasn't a lot of Maeve in it, and Maeve is my favorite, so, not surprising.
So spoiler, when we get down to, there is a brief appearance of Maeve in this episode, and I just can't contain myself any longer, so I'll let you know now. I actually hashtag my note Team Maeve. So
I'm also Team Maeve. Team Maeve is awesome.
You're the Team Maeve OG. I'm a bandwagon jumper. I have slowly warmed to her.
She's awesome. She's awesome. And, Delores has her finer points. I mean, she is continuing to break bad in this episode pretty strongly. Walter could learn a lot from her, but we'll continue the Breaking Bad references as we continue.
Yes, we will. Yeah, so I guess, first of all, probably not a shock that we can bring Breaking Bad references in, given our history and love of that show. But I had that exact same parallel to talk to you about a little bit, too, with the difference that Delores is the character that I am slowly losing affection for in the show. And I, not just because she's Breaking Bad, but just there's a couple things there. But with Walter White, even though I didn't support a lot of things he did, and I was never like Team Walt in the late parts of Breaking Bad when he was pretty horrific, I still cared what happened to him. It mattered to me what happened to him. And we'll see how things go here. But this episode in particular, Delores started to go down the road like saying, yeah, all right, so I'm starting to be kind of okay no matter what happens to you. There's other people I'm worried about. I'm not so worried about anymore.
Right. And one of the things this episode did in particular was continuing the time shifts back to the past to show us a kinder, gentler, more naive, innocent Delores, to keep reminding us of where Delores came from before she became Wyatt. So with that, do we want to kind of start from the beginning and move through?
Let's do that.
Okay. So our opening scene for this episode was Arnold and Delores in the real world. So Delores has hinted that she remembers things that we haven't seen before, and here we go. She has been out in the real world with Arnold and the voice of Ford. We didn't really get to see Ford very, very well, but we did hear his voice.
Yeah, and someone blurrily walking in the back with the Ford voice coming out, so we're to assume it's Ford.
Right. So this was apparently a party/meeting to get Logan. Is it Delos? I always forget. Or Delos? Delos. Okay. Delos. To get him on board to finance this company. So there was a party, which Arnold ended up chickening out and not sending Delores in to be abused like the host she was made to be. So
yeah, and you get kind of, it's soft in the background, but you get a little bit of Ford going like, originally I found this affection you have for her, charming, but now it's kind of becoming irritating. And Arnold saying, no, she's not ready. And then in the rest of the scene, it plays out. He's probably right, because she is still some of the reveries that they talk about, some of the kind of different little idiosyncrasies of characters. She's on repeat with a little bit of it looks like the stars were spread out on the ground, and there's this wonder and astonishment kind of comment. And she kind of trots those out a couple times in this scene. So Arnold may be right that she just isn't quite ready to operate as the other hosts operate a little later in the show.
Well, I kind of took it as Arnold having messed with her so much, trying to give her a consciousness that he introduced basically too much consciousness into her, whereas the others are operating on a lower level, and he's trying to get her to a higher level, and then she disappoints him. At least that was the feeling I got from the look on his face, that she disappointed him by trotting out her "Have you ever seen anything so full of splendor?" speech again, like a robot. Yep. And he was disappointed that she wasn't more original. So I felt bad for poor little Delores then. She disappointed Arnold, and no one wants to disappoint Arnold.
No.
Even though Arnold is not my favorite person. I don't think Arnold did her any favors. I said that last episode. I don't think Arnold was really doing any of them a lot of favors by trying to wake them up to the horror of their existence, but time will tell.
Yep, I think it was coming from a good place, but I don't think it was necessarily a good thing. Right. So we'll see how it goes. And then we cut from that to Sector 19, which I'm going to guess is the minor leagues of host repair, based on the condition of the host that they were working on, the fact that apparently there's no alarm or warning system, so all heck's breaking loose in Westworld, and these mopes are just down there. Man, this is a long shift, and it's dark, and it just does. I don't think this is the A-team.
No, and in my notes, I subtitled this scene as "Teddy gets woke." That's what my notes say about this particular scene.
Yeah, so. Mine slight modification. Teddy gets woke. ... Kinda. as much as Teddy can get woke. So kind of interspliced between this scene where Teddy's getting woke is a swing back to that business meetup where Logan actually gets to see many familiar hosts in a much different look and feel, including Angela, who's the greeter, who's, I don't know what the name, I guess it's just Angela in Westworld, but I wanted to talk more about her later. And he's suitably stunned by how impressive the hosts are when it ends up being a demo. And if I'm not mistaken, everyone that Logan interacted with that day was a host, and Ford and Arnold just hung out in their hotel room.
I think Arnold was showing Delores the stars.
Yeah.
and Ford was the only one paying attention. So, but yes, but Logan being Logan, you know how all of the hosts had to end up naked in the bedroom.
Yep.
Because that's just how Logan is, though. You know, I always enjoy Logan. Logan's he's somebody you kind of love to hate, but he's kind of an idiot. So, you know.
He is, and this ends like you would expect most Logan negotiations to end with the bedroom scene.
Yes. Logan is nothing if not predictable. So go back to Sector 19. One of our board members that they let run away crashes into Sector 19, and shortly after he served his purpose, Delores and crew barge in, and she proceeds to try and convince Teddy, or show Teddy, how horrible everything is. And Teddy really didn't really want to get woke. I don't really think Teddy wanted to know. So I don't think that Teddy feels better knowing the truth.
No, yeah, especially when the truth includes why did you do this, and the answer is for fun. You know.
Yes, for fun. Poor Teddy.
And now we get to the true heroes of Westworld, the Pardue brothers. Totally the Badger and Skinny Pete of Westworld.
Yes.
And they have Lawrence upside down over an anthill, musing on how an ant goes about eating a person.
From what end it starts with.
Yeah, and I just almost starts talking to Twang when I talk about the Pardue brothers. Not the sharpest knives in the drawer, and the Man in Black shows up and gets all Man in Blacky in a hurry. And a couple of Pardue boys are hard to put down, and they clip him a little bit, but he does retrieve Lawrence because Lawrence has got to do it. I do love the line where he talks about, you know, it's a whole different world when the Pardue brothers are off the leash, and so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really did. I really did like the Man in Black in this episode. He had a lot of good lines. I do like him playing his game now, the game meant for him, which isn't quite as fun for him as the last game.
But this one has real consequences, which he does like.
Yes.
But he now says since we're kind of off the script, he can break the rules. It turns out that he's stashed away a couple of things around so he can go into a bar and pound on a hollow part of the wall and knock out and get a kit to kind of sew up the aftermath of the Pardue brothers, get himself kind of fixed up a little bit, and chats with Lawrence about Lawrence's belief in God and talking about this place being a place hidden from God.
Yeah.
And he plans to burn it down.
Yeah. I think that's one of those important conversations we're supposed to remember about judgment and the tally that's being kept. The Man in Black is trying to tell us something that we'll find out about later, but they talk about it further on in the episode in a number of different ways. So it was an important scene. And I do like Lawrence. I just like him. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He doesn't, not granted, I guess he gets wiped and forgets and whatever, but
right.
You know, he should really learn that, you know, he's going to get nothing but the short end of the stick when working with the Man in Black.
Right. Well, that's pretty much true for everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. So after that, we go back to William/Billy with Old Man Delos. And we get some more insight as to the possible alternative purpose of the park. So a lot of alluding going on there. So
yeah, so we finally do meet the big Papadelos. So it's I think he may have appeared somewhere briefly in a scene before, but this is the kind of the good sustained screen time for him. and he's talking about the park swimming in the red, and he doesn't invest in fantasies. And then William, who kind of moved from this slightly more timid William from the early stages to now kind of feeling his oats a little bit, really starts to push back about to Del, saying you don't seem to get it. And apparently the big benefit of the park is unfettered market research, where you can basically see people for who they truly are. And,
right. And this scene is clearly after he has sent Logan naked on the horse off to the valley. So he's ousted Logan.
Yes, which kind of lets us know a little bit about what the Man in Black's truly like, or William's truly like.
Right. So let's see. From there, my notes just say we cut to the Confederados. So that would be Wyatt / Delores.
Yep. With the Maeve, just prior to the meetup, Maeve crosses paths with Delores and Teddy. So.
Yes, and Maeve was in true form for her very brief scene of this episode. One of her great ones.
Kind of calling Delores out about, you're all about freedom, yet you're telling everybody what to do. And I got a different path than you, and are you going to stop me? Miss Freedom? Are you going to stop me? So that was good. I do think, outside of Maeve being kind of just more awesome in general than Delores, her second big edge is her second in command. When Delores has Teddy, Maeve's doing a lot better.
Yeah, what I particularly liked of that conversation was Maeve, Delores is talking about revenge, and Maeve says, revenge is just another prayer at their altar, and I'm well off my knees. It's another clue to us about the completely different paths that Maeve is taking from Delores as to what their purpose is for all of this. And so, Maeve was so not scared at all. She was not impressed with Delores or Wyatt or Teddy or any of them. So
no, not at all. And this episode was just loaded up with religious connectivity.
Right.
It had the God conversation earlier between the Man in Black and Lawrence. We had this Maeve well off my knees comment. They come in to meet with the Confederales, and when you walk into the room, it basically looks like the Last Supper painting in terms of how they're all lined up. And this was the question that I had for you regarding Angela. Is she wearing a crown of thorns? She has got something around her head in this kind of, once she's kind of become Wyatt's muscle. And I can't tell what it is.
I assumed it was a headband, but I haven't looked that closely. Given the religious imagery that's been going on, I suppose it's possible. I've always just kind of wondered how Angela got into the mix. The last we saw her, she was a host at the train station introducing people. So how'd she get out in the park? But, anyway. Yeah, so it could be a crown of thorns. That's as good an explanation for her new hairdo as anything. I just assumed it was a headband, but
yeah, let's keep an eye on that, and we'll try and watch it in some high def and do some further research. But because I assumed initially it was a headband, but then the more I looked at it, I go, or is it something else? And so
I wouldn't put it past them to have thrown that in there. So I got new glasses, but I wasn't wearing them. So it's possible I missed that.
So then Laura says, follow me. They kind of say no. So they kill him. And then apparently the whole host revival process is just a really available in the Apple store. It's just It's a single app, and you can just basically kind of correct everything with your tablet. And so they have been pulling along with them one of the past workers, not our FELIX, unfortunately, but somebody who's able to help. So he kind of brings them all back, and then keeping with the religious symmetry that's been going on here so far, they finish the final part of the conversation with Delores declaring that she's replaced God.
Yes. Yeah, she says, you're right. We have toiled in God's service long enough, so I killed him. And she looked mean when she said it, too. It was a really good scene. Yeah, had to appreciate her there. But wow, Wyatt is hardcore.
Just a bit.
Oh. So our next scene is young man in black, William, at a party, and Delores is playing the piano. And the little girl comes up to her, tells her she's pretty. And we find out that little girl's name is Emily. And she runs over to her mommy, who William walks up and gives a kiss on the cheek to. So that is William's daughter, who appeared to be about 8 to 10 to me. So that was one of those time clues for me that we're looking at about, because they were dating. They weren't married in the first season, at least in the clues that we were given then. So we're looking at about 8 to 10 years in the future, was my guess.
Yep, and Papa Delos is retiring. William's taking the reins. Logan's doping it up around the pool.
Shooting up on the patio. Yes.
And this is Dolores' second piano run, because she was in the party as well, playing the piano. It was kind of a cool scene to kind of see. We get a little more Delos development, find out that not only is he retiring, things are progressing for him from a health standpoint, and appears to be something related to the park to kind of help with that situation.
Right. And Logan had something important to say, I think it's important, when he was talking to Delores when she wandered down to the pool to look at the splendor of the stars some more, and Logan's talking to her, and he makes that neat little reference to fiddling while Rome burns, when he says that's the sound of fools fiddling while the whole species starts to burn, and they lit the match. So what does that mean? That is incredibly intriguing. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, with the exception it came from Logan. So it could just, not Mr. Insight.
I don't know. I think Logan's trying to tell us something here about something that they have done. So we've all wondered what sort of world this park exists in, the non-hosts. Who are the regular? Who are the humans wandering around? What kind of world do we have a park where you get to go rape and murder very human-looking people for fun? What sort of world are we living in? So, anyway.
So, I think a very fair question. I'm just not 100% certain it's the kind of question that Logan would formulate. I mean, yeah, I just
he
think...
He was high. Drugs-induced deep thinking sometimes.
Because I think his bigger concern is, why wasn't there a Swedish bikini team village in Westworld? They could have done something like that, but maybe not. So maybe through better living through chemistry, he's come to a deeper plane of thought for that moment. It is spot on as something to consider in terms of what have they created and what does this mean to the species.
Yes, very interesting. I'm intrigued. I really want to know where that's going.
And if you're ever planning a family vacation, one piece of advice to you: never go to Pariah. Nothing ever good happens in Pariah.
I don't know. This episode, we did have one good thing happen in Pariah.
One incredibly good thing happened in Pariah.
Yes.
Gus Fring is running Pariah, which is as awesome as you can get.
Yes. I couldn't see that scene is all very dark, especially when he first starts talking. And I heard the voice and I was like, oh my God, who is that? Who is that? And then finally you get confirmation of who is playing El Lazo in this particular storyline of the park. And it's Gus! Yay!
Being all Gussie. Just incredibly intimidating and menacing. And the Man in Black's there to get an army because they're heading west to kind of burn the whole place down. El Lazo tells the story of the elephants and the stakes, that when basically elephants are small, you stake them and they can't pull themselves free. And as they get bigger, they could easily pull themselves free, but they've given up trying. They don't even try anymore. And so that's how you can keep an elephant in place, with just a little stake. And an interesting parallel to talk about the world that is going on right now.
Yes.
And then William says, yeah, but you're going to tell your men to fight for me. And, well, there's going to be no army for William.
Yes, because a wonderful thing happens.
The world's worst line dance ever.
Yes, yes. So all of El Lazo's men shoot themselves. And what and who is speaking through our favorite friend Gus in that moment, Kelly?
Ford.
Ford! Yay! I love Ford's game. Ford's game is awesome. So anyway.
And he built it well. He could just kind of pop in and kind of give William a little poke here and there. So he gets a couple last words from Ford before Lazo takes himself out to complete the goose egg that William's going to get in Pariah.
Yep. He says, this game was meant for you, William, but you must play it alone. If only, hopefully, well, I guess we can't. See, darn it, we can't get any more Gus.
Nope. Well, he's a host.
At least not in that timeline. Maybe, sort of. Maybe Wyatt will come wake us up.
She can come over with the iPad and just wave it over and bring them all back.
Yeah. So Giancarlo Esposito is just the bomb. He needs to be in everything.
He makes everything better.
Yes. So, let's see. So then I guess we're almost at the end. William makes another, or the Man in Black version of William, makes another reference as to where they're going, which keeps being called Glory, the Valley of Death, to keep repeating the religious tones going on. And he tells Lawrence that where they're going is his greatest mistake.
Yep.
So
yeah, a couple times he took ownership in this episode of I made this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue he's more of an enabler to have Ford make it. But
yes. And then we find out a little more about what this might possibly be from Delores later. And what does she call it?
Yep. So there's this chat just before this final scene. There's a kind of a back chat where it's younger William talking to Delores about, you're just a thing. Can't believe I fell in love with you. Some things there. And then he goes, I want to show you something.
Let's not forget that William has taken the time to strip her naked and sit her on a stool in his house after the party. Yeah. Because that's fun.
There's that.
Yes.
And he takes younger version of Delores out and shows her something. And then as we cut back to current day Wyatt Delores with Teddy, who's still looking pretty confused about the whole thing. He goes, yes, here we are, Glory, the Valley Beyond, but it's a weapon, and Delores intends to use it.
Yes.
So I'm still very unclear what this weapon is. We've seen these cranes and the structure area before, but I haven't been able to piece together exactly what's going on there, and I don't know, do you have a better feel?
No, I think it all ties together kind of to what Logan was inferring about, the type of world, the world that they've created. And because this would be the same time frame when Logan says that, we're never quite certain with Westworld, but it would appear that we're on that same timeline of when Logan makes that comment about them having lit the match to burn the species. That's the same time frame that William is building whatever he's building. And so we don't know what it is. I mean, it would seem to be odd to be putting a nuke in the park. I mean, but I don't know what we're supposed to think it is. So
it kind of looks like a really big slingshot, which, could cause some targeted damage, but I'm not sure.
Right.
I guess it depends what you're shooting in the slingshot, but we'll see.
So we'll find out, though. I was really, there when I was trying to compare Teddy to Jesse, and I was just like, but yes, Teddy's all pseudo innocent, kind of like Jesse, but he's just not funny. I just couldn't connect that. I tried in my head really hard to give myself some sort of Jesse reference for Teddy, but I just couldn't do it. Teddy's got to grow a lot before he becomes Jesse-like to me. So.
Yeah, he has far to go, and the actor is doing an outstanding job.
He is, because it's hard to look that clueless.
Teddy's always just kind of like that dog with his head cocked, just walks around in that kind of permanent state of, I don't really know what's going on. And he's getting a whole lot of information on board, and he's really he's got some work to do on that.
Yeah. So it does lead to the question, at least for me, of if there's going to come a time when, kind of like Jesse, Teddy turns on Wyatt a little bit, doesn't really want to follow the path that Wyatt's leading. So I don't know. Might be some hope later in the episode for Teddy getting a clue, but right now I feel really sorry for him because he's so lost.
Yeah, and we may have seen in episode 1 Teddy has a floater, so right. maybe not. Maybe Teddy just remains clueless. With the last name of Flood, so that would be a typical Ford kind of thing to do, to take him out that way. So we'll have to see. But kind of a cliffhanger, waiting to see what happens next. So a really fun episode, a lot of good stuff, good Man in Black action. Gus Fring shows up. What more can you ask for? Lawrence, I like Lawrence. He's fun.
Right. Yep. So hopefully we'll get a little more Maeve in episode 3. And, again, sadly, we're still left to wonder what has happened to my poor Felix in episode 2. But, I'm holding out hope, y'all, that Felix is out there somewhere and Maeve will save him.
Yeah, in keeping with our Breaking Bad parallels we're trying to go, I'm going to retract my Pardue brothers as Badger and Skinny Pete, because I think Felix is Badger. Felix is the Badger of this. Pardue brothers, maybe they're more the Salamanca family. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, I'm sure we'll probably come up with some more, and I would love it if we could have some more friends from Breaking Bad show up in this show. But I actually had that conversation with someone this weekend about actors from other shows or characters from other shows that I would love to show up in Westworld, because, I miss them. And I love Westworld, and I want all these great people from all of my other shows that I love, like Penny Dreadful, to show up in Westworld, because that would be awesome.
I want Jimmy McGill / Saul Goodman to show up in character to try it.
Yeah.
Try and mitigate the situation and just kind of put him in a room.
That would be good. Him and the Man in Black could have a conversation. Oh, if only we could get Gus back, Gus.
So awesome.
But that brief moment was very thrilling and was the highlight of this episode for me, because if y'all had been here, you'd have heard me squeeing all over the place, because I just heard the voice. I couldn't see the screen, and that voice, the
second you heard it, you knew it, but then you kept looking to get visual confirmation. Boy, it's so dark.
Yes, it was great. That was probably my favorite. That was my favorite scene. I'm going to say that scene even beat out Maeve in this episode for me, just because of, the awesomeness being brought there. It's a great scene. And we got a little touch of Ford in that scene too. So I hope that Ford is going to return to us someday, but we'll find out.
That'd be great.
So on our next show, we'll be covering episode 3, y'all. And hopefully y'all will be caught up and can send us questions or your theories, because we would love to hear those things and talk about all of y'all's theories. Or if you want to squee about Breaking Bad references in Westworld, we will squee with you.
Yeah, we might want to think in the blog post and starting to kind of go with our set lineup of the Breaking Bad to Westworld assignments and connectivity.
Yes.
And just kind of continue to build on that list as we go forward here. I'm with you on Delores Wyatt as Walter White. I think Teddy's a pale Jesse Pinkman, so we're gonna have to keep our eyes out for that.
Yeah. He's more like Walt's son. That's more Teddy's speed right now.
Yeah, there you go. We could go with that. And I definitely think Felix's Badger is a good parallel for now.
Right. Yes. Hopefully more FELIX in the future. So we'll be back to hopefully either cry because there's no FELIX or to celebrate because FELIX makes a reappearance. We'll find out.
And maybe he raises El Lazo. It'd be like a double win.
That would be great. That would be the best. So don't forget to send us any questions or theories that you may have, y'all, at us on Twitter because email doesn't work so hot, but Twitter works. So tweet your hearts out.
Please do. And looking forward to talking episode 3 when we get back together. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com. Or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and support.